Thank you. Good morning. When Jim asked me to talk about overcoming chronic pain, I had to chuckle. The first thing I learned about overcoming chronic conditions was to not talk about it. When a person has chronic health conditions, it tends to dominate their lives. The longer they have the pain or other issues, the more a person capitulates the hold it has on them. We do less and less over time because, frankly, it hurts. It becomes more difficult to do things that don't feel good. We break down over time and become less and less functional outside our homes as well as within. Unfortunately, this causes our minds and bodies to become weaker. The basic muscles we used to do daily things like tying our shoes start to atrophy. But some people don't consider this as they start to become unable to do even the simplest of tasks. It's basically a downward spiral for a lot of people. It's frustrating too when seeking help. Because human doctors typically specialize in one area, systemic problems tend to get missed for many years. People with chronic conditions seek out so many professionals with titles ending in "ologist" that they lose count. They are so desperate to feel better that, aside from consulting doctors, they try acupuncture, chiropractic care, massage, seek out support groups, and a myriad of other ways that someone can help them with their physical struggles. This consumes people with chronic pain. Their brains are permeated with thoughts of their health, of what could be wrong with them, of how they could never feel good again. They consider taking a bath or lying down. They Google whatever they can to do to just feel an ounce better. It's difficult to think of other things when you're in constant pain or have other long-term issues. And not everyone talks to other people about their issues. I, for one, didn't want people to feel sorry for me or define me as the chronically ill woman. But it's difficult to hide when you can't get comfortable, or loud noises feel like they are shattering your eardrums, or your body's thermostat just cannot find a happy medium. So it's on the forefront of our minds and often our conversations with others. And the people in the lives of those suffering care so much. They want you to know they care, and they often ask how you're doing. Usually the first words out of their mouths are, "How's your back pain?" Or, "How did your doctor appointment go for your lupus follow-up?" Unfortunately, this enables people with chronic pain to focus only on their condition instead of other things, more positive things that are a part of who they are. When the brain is the star of the conversation and the ambassador of thoughts, it actually makes a person's condition worse. Let me explain. The brain is brilliant. Your entire nervous system has a goal of protecting you from danger. If you stub your toe, all of the sensors around your toe are sent a signal from the brain. It's a danger signal, letting you know that something is wrong. It doesn't matter if it's a paper cut or a broken arm. Your brain's goal is to protect you. When we stub a toe on a chair, we know that it's a temporary pain and nothing serious is wrong. After yelping out, we tend to continue with our day and ignore the pain. This is, in a way, our communication to our brain that there is, in fact, no emergency and the alarms can pipe down. However, when you have chronic pain, you aren't ignoring it and continuing with your day. We know that it's not temporary, and a lot of people dwell on it for some periods of time. The thing is, the more you focus on something being wrong, the more thoughts you have around this condition, the more you are reaffirming to your brain that there's danger. Often, fight or flight mode kicks in and stress hormones increase. We may or may not be aware it's happening, but the brain can't differentiate between a real danger and something like chronic pain. And having higher stress levels can contribute to pain feeling worse, especially over time. It can also contribute to any sort of health concern, chronic or not, feeling worse. This brings me back to my original statement, which I'll rephrase to: the first rule of improving chronic pain is to not talk about chronic pain. Of course, you can't go your whole life without talking about it, but one of the things I've learned is to divert my thoughts and attentions from the pain into something else, like a hobby or a book. The more practice one has in doing it, the less and less a person finds themselves thinking about pain or engaging in pain behaviors like moaning while walking. Then the body, once in constant fight or flight mode, tends to slow down a little bit. In fact, a lot of improving your life with chronic pain has to do with the body constantly being in a state of fight or flight. Remember, all pain signals, as well as signals that it's too hot or too cold for your body, is your brain alerting you that something is wrong. Being in a constant state of stress for months or even years accelerates the condition. Our thoughts in particular help escalate the condition. How many people have a cold and say, I'm never going to feel good again? Or someone who broke a leg thinks, I'll never walk normally again. Or any other form of negative thinking. Repeating these thoughts to yourself is even further affirming to your brain that yes, something is wrong. We know that there's something wrong, yes. We wouldn't be suffering with the conditions we have otherwise. But keeping your brain in a spiral of thinking about that only makes it worse. We can learn to live with our conditions without them controlling our functionality and our mental health. It's not the fault of millions of people who have chronic conditions that they find themselves in a downward spiral sometimes. There's hardly any information out there for pain management. I spoke to many doctors and asked them, how many classes or how many years of pain management did you learn for patients? The answers were astounding. Several said none, and a couple said they were maybe 2 weeks out of their entire medical school years. This is a problem in our society. There are millions of people who have chronic pain, and we all experience short-term pain at some point in our lives. But there's little or no education about pain management out there. In fact, because doctors aren't educated about pain management, they prescribe medications that hide or numb the pain. And you all know how that contributed to the opioid crisis this country has been battling. I don't blame the doctors for prescribing meds. They are just doing their job, which is to help the patient. Pain meds do work, but only for short periods of time. Outside of the addiction factor, it's been proven that long-term use of pain meds actually make pain worse over time due to intolerance. Researchers at Mayo Clinic have discovered that the odds of a person will still be on opioids a year after starting a short course increase after only 5 days of taking them. All of this information I've learned in my own journey with chronic conditions. I've talked about them from time to time in sermons, but I rarely think about them these days because what I've learned has helped me and changed my life. And not just with chronic conditions, but overall health in general. A year and 3 months ago, I was not functional. Over the past year, I have been able to balance 2 jobs, going back to school, traveling, leisure activities, homework, and relaxation time. This is something I'm quite proud of. For 2 years ago, I thought I'd never be able to do these things again. Or if I did, I'd just be suffering through the entire time. Currently, I say I'm in good health, despite living with what I do. I have 3 autoimmune disorders, migraines, vertigo, severe allergies, endometriosis, and sciatica. I had an emergency surgery that put me into premature menopause. That particular event triggered many of my chronic conditions, particularly something the Mayo Clinic calls central sensitization syndrome, which is basically fibromyalgia. According to the Institute for Chronic Pain, central sensitization is a condition of the nervous system that is associated with the development and maintenance of chronic pain. When central sensitization occurs, the nervous system goes through a process called wind up and gets regulated in a persistent state of high reactivity. Many people that have chronic pain end up with central sensitization syndrome. Basically, many things are heightened for me. For example, certain sounds would be so loud that I thought my eardrums were exploding. Heat and humidity were not tolerated by my body so much that I would throw up. And of course, there's the pain. For people with central sensitization syndrome, it's like their automatic fight or flight mode is always on. Every single twitch in the body causes the brain to sound the alarm that there's something wrong. The number one thing I learned about physical health is that there is a definite mind-body-spirit connection. We've heard this throughout our lives, sometimes in the form of a new age guru, or maybe in a magazine, internet article. But there is actual science backing it up these days. So let's take a look at our breath. Those of you who have practiced yoga know that it's centered around the breath, but many people don't realize how important deep breathing is to our physical and mental health. Deep diaphragmatic breathing is the only way we can physically turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is one of 2 halves of our automatic nervous system. When we are anxious because our controlling mother-in-law is on her way to our home, or, the number of cases during a pandemic are sky high, our heart rate naturally goes up and so does our breathing. The same thing occurs when we are in some sort of physical pain or distress. And then our brain reads this from our automatic nervous system and translates it to danger. When we consciously slow down our breath as slow as we can, we subsequently will slow down the heart rate. Then the parasympathetic nervous system starts reporting that the danger has subsided, causing the sympathetic nervous system to calm the heck down, and we are more relaxed. An interesting thing I encountered during my stay at Mayo Clinic for the pain rehabilitation program was called Biofeedback. Among other things they did, they strapped up my chest with a device that had sensors on it that would measure my breaths per minute. I got to see them on a chart portrayed on a monitor, much like a heart rate rhythm. The very first day they did this, my breaths were 14 breaths a minute. In time, they taught me how to do very slow breaths with my stomach. So deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing. I left the clinic 3 weeks later, able to breathe as slow as 4 breaths per minute. So several times a day, as often as I can, I will take a minute with whatever I'm doing and slow down my breath using my diaphragm to breathe. Long-term practice doing this has slowed my resting heart rate from 88 beats per minute to 68 beats per minute. This is one of many things that has improved my physical health and chronic conditions over the past year. Studies have proven that taking charge of your mental health can show improvements in physical health and vice versa. During my stay at Mayo, we did an hour of mindfulness and a half hour of meditation per day. Mindfulness helps physical health by pulling us out of our thoughts and worries and just being aware of your surroundings in a non-judgmental way. We also did a half hour of either yoga or Tai Chi a day, because slowing down the mind also slows down the body. Stress in both forms is detrimental to your health. What's another way for people of all levels of health to become a healthier person? Well, staying active and doing your daily activities, but with modification and moderation. How many of us, even the healthiest of us, overdo activities and then spend a long time recovering? Moderation is from exercise to chores to what we eat, leisure activities. Balance between all aspects of ourselves is crucial for healthy living. Engaging in a daily spiritual activity, whether it's meditation, prayer, or even taking a few mindful walks in the woods each week. Taking care of your physical body with eating whole foods and exercise, even if the exercise is in slow moderation. Keeping your mental health strong by talking to friends or taking time for things that you love. These are all important for overall health. I'm going to share with you a stress threshold chart. Here you see that as stress levels increases, you perform at your peak. Here you see that as stress levels increases, you perform at your peak. However, once you cross over the stress threshold in the middle, your body and mind start declining. This threshold represents both physical stress in the body as well as mental or emotional stress. Think about if you snap at someone you care about over and over something silly and later think, why did I have that reaction? It was insignificant. This probably happened because many stressors that day put you over that tipping point and you were unable to handle even the slightest pressure. The forefront of good health in all areas is keeping your stress levels far below the stress threshold, which will keep your fight or flight mechanism from running the show. Seeing how fight or flight mode and stress is detrimental to your health can also paint a picture at how maintaining relaxation in both body and mind can lead to good health. Emotions also play a role in our health. One way they affect us is by appearing in the body as physical sensations. There have been many studies done examining how different emotions like disgust, anger, happiness, and fear manifest in the body. A good activity to do is to sit still in a room with no distractions. Pay attention to your mood or what emotion you are currently feeling. Notice where you feel any tightness or tense muscles or any other sensations in your body. For example, if you're feeling fear, you may feel a tightness in your chest or gripping area around your heart. The body is constantly inflicted with stressors, both external and internal. It communicates exactly what it needs to survive. If we practice mindfulness and other techniques, we can move toward a better mind-body integration for optimal health. We can regulate our body's stress response system, restore prefrontal cortex activity, which is where our executive function lies, and restore normal activity of our automatic nervous system. In addition, we are decreasing activity in the amygdala, which plays a role in our fear, anxiety, and aggression responses. I'll close with a few techniques to do just that. I've already mentioned mindfulness. You pay attention without judgment to the world around you. Notice how the wind feels on your face, what the water sounds like coming out of the kitchen faucet, how soft the chair you're sitting in feels. And notice internal shifts as well. Recognizing that you feel anxious in your body actually does cause the amygdala to relax and helps calm your body down. Meditation also helps the body relax. Even if you're just sitting for a few minutes and consciously taking breaths in and out, studies show that just 3 minutes of daily meditation relaxes the stressed brain. Other things you can do is progressive muscle relaxation, yoga, Tai Chi, and exercise. Biofeedback is also an excellent tool. Learning how your body is speaking to you will help you attain good health. Anyone from folks with chronic conditions to people of average health can use mind, body, spirit integration practices to improve their lives. The evidence is out there. If we balance these areas, reduce our stress, fight or flight response, and redirect negative thinking, we will refine our health like never before. So here's a good health to all of you in 2020.